Okay. Thank you for viewing our presentation on our exhibition at the Iowa State University Textiles and Clothing Museum titled Childrenswear, Identity and Culture Around the Globe.
The Textiles and Clothing Museum was founded in 1924 and primarily serves as a teaching tool in the apparel merchandising and design curriculum at Iowa State University and to the campus at large. Our exhibition features objects exclusively from the Iowa State Textiles and Clothing Museum permanent collection. The collection has over 8,000 objects from the 18th century to the present, with representation from around the world.
This project is part of the Louise Rosenfeld Undergraduate Research Internship. The internship is awarded to 2 undergraduate students every spring semester that are majoring in apparel merchandising and design. This year, Ivy and I were the recipients. As interns, we worked together in a single semester to conceptualize, curate, and install the exhibition.
Presenters today include myself, Ivy Miller, a senior majoring in apparel and design, and Dorothy Vernon, also a senior majoring in apparel design. We completed all aspects of the curation process under the guidance of Dr. Reddy Best, a professor in apparel merchandising and design and the director and chief curator of the Textiles and Clothing Museum.
Before we begin, we want to acknowledge those who have previously taken care of the land on which we gather. Before this site became Iowa State University, it was the ancestral lands and territories of the Bokojay or Iowa Nation. The United States obtained the land from the Meskwaki and Sauk nations in the Treaty of 1842. We wish to recognize our obligations to this land and to the people who took care of it, as well as to the 17,000 Native people who live in Iowa today.
In this exhibition, we examine how children from cultural backgrounds around the globe express their identity through dress. Through 7 garments, each representative of a culture across the 20th century, we showcase how children's clothing reflects how traditions are passed down through generations. The cultures highlighted on display include communities from the United States, Mexico, Hungary, Korea, and China.
Here are the examples of the clothing on display in our exhibition.
The Chinese children's dress on display highlights the story of Chinese springtime by combining traditional colors as well as floral and lantern motifs. In an ancient Chinese color theory called the 5 colors theory, every category that exists is classified into 5 columns based on the primary principles of resonating with things with the same kind. Depicted on the dress, one of the 5 primary colors in this theory is green plus blue, which falls into the same column as the spring season. Similarly, the floral motifs along the collar and pockets reflect the changing seasons from winter to spring. Additionally, the lanterns represent springtime in connection to the Lantern Festival, one of the most important traditional celebrations that occurs on the last day of the Spring Festival. This garment specifically features several intricate construction methods such as embroidery and sewing.
In the 1930s, following World War I, many European countries were experiencing instability and political vulnerability. In Hungary, this resulted in a rise of conservative civic groups who helped spread nationalist ideals. One aspect of this was the increase in Hungarian folklore being represented through art, music, motifs, and clothing. Craftspeople used embroidery to communicate Hungarian traditions and styles through the symbolism of their designs, such as the ensemble on display. Intricate embroidery is visible along the neckline, hem, and sleeves of this dress.
Craftspeople created these and other similar Mexican tourist jackets using traditional motifs and embroidery that reflected their culture. Traditional motifs represented on the 2 jackets include the sombrero and the cacti. Mexican people began creating these jackets and other products specifically for tourists in an effort to transform how the United States viewed Mexico after World War II. That is, Mexico used these items to assert a newfound national identity, attempting to shift perceptions of Mexico away from negative stereotypes such as banditry and disorder. The jackets gained popularity with the U.S. tourists following World War II in the late 1940s and were mostly worn by white American girls. Namely, the jackets were not worn by Mexican children despite the motifs telling stories of Mexican history. The motifs are embroidered onto the fleece with the reverse yarns visible on the interior.
The childrenswear brand Reima, that was founded in Finland in 1944 and is still in operation today, popularized the snowsuit in the 1960s, a functional outfit for playing outside in low temperatures. Snowsuits, like the one on display, symbolize shifts in how families operated as mothers gained more agency. That is, the North American family model up until the 1960s had most often been a two-parent household where the father was at work and the mother stayed home for childcare and homemaking. Then, women began entering the workforce as they advocated for women's rights and liberation, resulting also in children starting school earlier. To meet the new double-income household needs, children's clothing changed to be more functional and practical for busy parents. Designers of the snowsuit on display added technical elements such as snap-on gloves and booties for ease of dressing and to avoid losing parts of the ensemble when not in use. The garment on display features removable gloves and boots that are connected by snaps. There are two zippers on the front of the snowsuit, contributing to the functional needs of the time. There's also a matching hat that pairs with the ensemble.
The United States celebrated its bicentennial in 1976, 200 years after adopting the Declaration of Independence. Americans across the country held celebrations to commemorate the event where children wore garments with motifs referencing the United States formation. Costumes mimicking styles commonly seen in 1976 were also popular at the time. The garment on display, which features George Washington embroidered on the back and 1776 on the front, is an example of an outfit worn by an Iowan boy to such events. The picture on the right is a young boy wearing this exact ensemble. Of note is that these celebrations of independence ignore the history of Indigenous peoples' forced and violent displacement from their land. The back of the shirt on display has an intricate embroidery of George Washington. The buttons along the front are red, white, and blue, tying into traditional American symbolism.
The hanbok, which translate to Korean clothing, originated in the Joseon dynasty and is an iconic Korean fashion with a distinct silhouette that is worn by adults and children of all genders. Today, the hanbok for children is typically reserved for special occasions such as weddings, festivals, and related events. The hanbok on display is an example of a traditional style, complete with a short jacket called georgi and a long skirt named the chima. Recently, fashion brands such as Tachi Kim and Issei, which are pictured on the slide, have begun reimagining the hanbok into a range of new styles, continuing the evolution of stylistic changes in this traditional Korean dress. The hanbok on display has gold embellishments along the neck, collar, seams, and hems of the garment.
Here is a view of the final exhibition installed in the Donna Gallery in Morrill Hall here at Iowa State University.
This exhibition would not be possible without the support of the museum and the Louise Rosenfeld internship, which provided funding for us over the course of the semester.
We also want to thank the Reinhardt Endowment, which helps fund resources at the museum. The funding to the museum provides the opportunity for high-impact learning, such as this undergraduate student-curated exhibition, so that we can purchase the equipment and materials needed to support the Textiles and Clothing Museum. Finally, the Agatha Hufbecker Burnett Endowed Graduate Research and Teaching Assistantship, which provides funding for the graduate students that assisted us with the installation process. Without that support, this exhibition would not be possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.